Welcome to this video lesson for Module 1 Unit 2. This unit is part of the SUST3DFASHION project module on creating innovative digital educational content. Unit 2 is dedicated to understanding how to design effective, engaging, and cognitively sound multimedia learning experiences. Whether you're teaching in a classroom, developing e-learning modules, or creating video tutorials, the strategies and tools we discuss today can dramatically improve how your learners absorb and retain knowledge.
As educators, we often focus on what content we want to deliver. But equally important is how we deliver it. The way we structure, present, and sequence our materials plays a crucial role in helping learners understand complex topics and stay motivated throughout the learning process. In this video, we'll explore the cognitive science behind how people learn and how we can apply this knowledge to multimedia content creation. We'll introduce two foundational frameworks, the cognitive load theory and Mayer's multimedia learning principles. These will provide the theoretical lens through which we evaluate and build educational content. You'll also discover practical, free tools to create rich, interactive learning experiences without needing advanced technical skills. We'll finish with real-world examples that show how to bring theory into practice.
This lesson will help you think more critically about every diagram, voiceover, or visual you include in your training. You'll be able to evaluate whether each element serves a purpose, or simply adds clutter. Let's begin our journey by exploring how the brain processes new information.
To design effective multimedia content, we first need to understand how learners absorb and process information. At the center of this process is our memory system, specifically, working memory and long-term memory. Working memory acts like a mental scratchpad. It's where information is held temporarily while we make sense of it. But it's extremely limited. Most people can only hold 5 to 9 items at a time. Information in working memory also decays rapidly, unless we rehearse or connect it to prior knowledge. This is where long-term memory plays a crucial role. It stores information more permanently, often in the form of schemas. A schema is like a mental framework, an organized pattern of thought that helps learners make sense of complex topics. For instance, once someone understands the basic mechanics of combustion, they can easily grasp how internal combustion engines or turbines work, because these new ideas fit into their existing schema.
Let's take a moment to talk about how multimedia tools are changing vocational education and training. You've probably used them before, maybe a tutorial video, an interactive quiz, or a digital simulation. These tools aren't just helpful add-ons. When used right, they can seriously improve the way we learn. First, they enhance understanding. Instead of just reading about how something works, you can watch it in action. Visuals, animations, and interactive content help make complex ideas clearer and easier to remember. Second, they bring real-world application into the picture. Through videos, case studies, and realistic simulations, learners can experience professional scenarios without leaving the classroom. That kind of practice builds real confidence. And third, they support flexible learning. Whether you're revising late at night, learning on your commute, or going back to review a topic, these tools are available whenever and wherever you need them. So now, let's turn it over to you. What multimedia tool will you choose to boost your learning journey?
Cognitive load theory, developed by John Sweller, is a foundational model for instructional design. It tells us that we must be mindful of the total cognitive effort we're asking from learners. Sweller identifies 3 types of cognitive load. Intrinsic load. This is the natural complexity of the material. Some topics are inherently difficult, like calculus or thermodynamics. We can't eliminate this load, but we can sequence information better to make it more manageable. Extraneous load. This is the load imposed by the way the content is presented. Poor design, like cluttered visuals, irrelevant details, or redundant narration, creates unnecessary strain on working memory. This is the type of load we want to reduce or eliminate entirely. Germane load. This is the productive mental effort involved in building and refining schemas. When learners are fully engaged, analyzing relationships between ideas, and applying concepts, they're investing germane load. This is the type of load we want to encourage. In multimedia learning, our role is to minimize the extraneous load, manage the intrinsic load, and promote germane load. When we achieve this balance, learners experience less confusion, less frustration, and greater success. As we move forward, keep these three types of load in mind. Every visual, word, and interaction you include should have a clear purpose. Now that we've laid this foundation, let's move on to the principles developed by Richard Mayer, principles that help us apply these ideas in practical ways.
When we design learning content, we have to think like brain coaches, because our learners only have so much mental energy to spend. That's what managing cognitive load is all about, helping people learn without overwhelming them. Let's look at 3 practical ways to do that. First up, pre-train. This simply means giving learners a bit of a warm-up before diving into the core content. You introduce key terms, basic ideas, or even a quick overview, so when the real stuff starts, they're not playing catch-up. It's like giving someone a map before they enter a maze. Then we have scaffold. Think of it like building a ladder. You help learners reach higher levels of understanding by guiding them step by step. At the beginning, you might give more structure or prompts, and as they get more confident, you slowly pull back that support. The goal is to let them stand on their own, but not before they're ready. And finally, remove distractions. This one's easy to forget. It's about clearing the screen, and the audio, of anything that doesn't directly help with learning. Background music, fancy animations, even extra icons or text can pull focus away from the main point. Clean and simple always wins. There's a whole set of multimedia design principles that go even deeper into this, and if you're curious, you can check them out directly on the platform. But for now, start with these 3. They're small adjustments, but they make a huge difference in helping learners stay focused, engaged, and less stressed. We are now providing 2 examples. Which one has respected these principles? Yes, the one on the left hadn't, while the one on the right did it. Try now with your own material.
Alright, let's take a quick tour of some key principles that help us design better learning experiences, without overwhelming the brain. These come from Richard Mayer, who spent years researching how people learn from words and visuals. He came up with a bunch of super practical guidelines. On this slide, you can see 6 of them. Now, don't worry, we're not diving into all the theory here. But just to give you a taste, coherence reminds us to cut out anything that isn't helping the learner. No fluff, no distractions. Modality tells us that hearing something while seeing a visual works better than reading and watching at the same time. Signaling is all about guiding the learner's attention, like using arrows, highlights, or your voice to say, "Hey, focus here." Redundancy warns us not to repeat the exact same info in both voiceover and text. It can actually slow down learning. Segmenting encourages us to break complex topics into smaller chunks. And pre-training, which we already talked about, helps learners get familiar with the basics before the deep dive. But the big idea here, design with the brain in mind. When you use even just a few of these principles, your learning materials instantly become clearer, more engaging, and way easier to remember.
Let's be honest, principles are great, but they only come to life when we see how they work in practice. So, let's switch gears and take a look at some real-world training situations where these ideas really shine. We've picked 3 different examples: teaching how a wind turbine works, explaining chemical reactions, and guiding someone through a software installation. 3 very different topics, but all of them show how smart design makes learning smoother. In the next few slides, we'll break them down one by one. You'll see how removing distractions, breaking content into clear steps, or pairing visuals with voice can totally change the learning experience. So, as we go through each example, keep an eye out for which principles are being used, and maybe even ask yourself, how would you explain this in your own class or training session?
Let's start with something technical: how wind turbines work. Now, this might seem like a topic that needs a lot of explanation, but actually, if we design it right, it can be super clear and engaging. Imagine this. You show a beautiful image of a wind farm at sunset, play some dramatic music, and drop a big block of text explaining energy conversion. Sounds impressive, right? But here's the problem. It's too much. Too many distractions. That's where the coherence principle kicks in. Instead of all that, try this. A clean, labeled diagram of the turbine. Just the key parts, blades, rotor, generator. While each element appears, a calm voice explains what it does. Maybe an arrow points to the blade as the voice says, the wind pushes the blades, causing them to spin. Simple, clear, and focused. By removing everything that doesn't serve the learning goal, like background music or extra images, we help learners actually understand what's going on. This is the power of good design. It's not about showing off, it's about helping people really learn. And when learners aren't overloaded, they're more likely to stay engaged and remember what they've seen.
Next up, chemical reactions. This is a topic that can get messy fast, formulas, molecules, symbols flying everywhere. But with the right design, it can be way more digestible. Here's a common mistake. You show a big, colorful infographic with a ton of labels and explanations, and then, on top of that, you throw in a voiceover reading the exact same thing. Sounds helpful, but actually, it can be overwhelming. Why? Because your brain is trying to read, listen, and look at visuals all at the same time. That's too much for the brain's working memory to handle. That's where the modality principle comes in. Instead, we can simplify. Start with a clean image, let's say, showing a combustion reaction. Use animations to show the molecules interacting and narrate what's happening. Like, oxygen combines with fuel to produce carbon dioxide and water. No need for blocks of text, just the image and your voice guiding the learner through it. It's more natural, easier to follow, and way more effective. So remember, when visuals are on the screen, let the voice do the talking. Don't make learners read and listen at the same time. That small change can make a big difference.
Alright, let's switch from science to something more hands-on, installing software. Sounds simple, right? But if you've ever tried to explain it step by step, you know how easy it is to lose people. That's where two powerful principles come in, segmenting and signaling. Segmenting means we break the process into clear, manageable steps. Instead of showing a long list like, download the file, open it, run the installer, accept the terms, we show each step one at a time. One slide for downloading, another for installation, then settings. That way, learners can focus without getting overwhelmed. And then there's signaling. Basically, giving clear visual or verbal clues about where to look and what to do. Use arrows to point to the exact button they need to click. Highlight the next or accept option. Even a quick look here in the narration can help keep them on track. When you combine these two techniques, you make complex actions feel simple. Learners don't have to guess what's next. They're guided through it with confidence. So if you're ever building a tutorial or a how-to guide, just remember, show one thing at a time and point out what matters. It's that simple and super effective.
So, let's pause for a second and sum things up. If there are just 3 things you remember from this section, let them be these: simplify, structure, and engage. First, simplify. Get rid of the extras. Keep only what helps learners reach the goal. No clutter, no distractions, no complicated layouts. When things are clean and focused, people learn better and feel less stressed while doing it. Next, structure. Good learning doesn't happen by accident. Break things down, add clear steps, use consistent layouts. Think of it like building a path. If it's well structured, learners always know where they are and where they're going. And finally, engage. This doesn't mean flashy animations or loud music. It means making your content feel relevant, active, and interactive. Let learners explore, make decisions, or connect what they're learning to real life. That's what keeps their attention and makes the experience stick. So yeah, those 3 ideas. They're like your design toolkit. Whether you're building a course, a video, or just a single slide, coming back to simplify, structure, and engage can totally elevate what you create.
Now that we've seen how multimedia design works in theory and in practice, you might be wondering, okay, cool, but how do I actually build this stuff? Good news, you don't need to be a tech wizard or spend a fortune. There are plenty of tools out there that are free, easy to use, and perfect for creating engaging content. Let's start with H5P. If you want interactive activities, like quizzes, drag and drop, or branching scenarios, this is your go-to. It works with platforms like Moodle and WordPress, and you don't even need to code. It's all plug and play. Then there's OpenShot, a simple but powerful video editor. Want to add narration, cut clips, insert visuals, or create training videos with a professional feel? OpenShot makes it super manageable, even for beginners. And of course, Moodle. It's a full learning platform. You can build entire courses, track learner progress, and organize your content into modules. It's like your digital classroom, and it's fully customizable. These are just starting points, but they're solid. Play around with them, try creating something small, and build from there. You'll be surprised how much you can do with just a few tools and a bit of creativity.
Alright, let's talk about actually building interactive content for VET, or vocational education and training. There are three main things to think about here: the tools you use, the formats you choose, and how you apply it all in real learning situations. We've already mentioned tools like H5P and OpenShot, but remember, you don't need a huge toolbox. Start small. 1 or 2 tools that you're comfortable with are more than enough to get going. Then comes format. This is all about how your content is delivered. Maybe it's a short video with voiceover. Maybe it's an infographic, or a step-by-step simulation. You don't need to use every format, just choose the one that best matches your learning goal and your learner's needs. And finally, real application. This is where the magic happens. You're not just creating content for content's sake. You're building things that will help someone gain a skill, solve a problem, or prepare for a real job. Whether it's teaching them how to assemble a product or handle a customer scenario, make sure your content always connects back to real life. So, tools, formats, applications. Keep those 3 in mind, and you'll be on the right track to building content that's not just digital, but meaningful.
When you're designing a learning experience, one of the most important decisions you'll make is, how are you going to present the content? There's no one-size-fits-all answer. The format you choose, whether it's text, visuals, video, or something interactive, depends on what you're teaching and how your learners engage best. Let's break it down. Start with text. It's simple, flexible, and easy to create. Great for summaries, instructions, or quick references. But on its own, it's not always the most engaging. Visuals, like diagrams, infographics, or images, are perfect when you need to explain something complex at a glance. Think, showing how a machine works, or mapping out a process. Videos are super useful when you want to show and tell. Demonstrations, tutorials, or storytelling all work great here. And when you add voiceover to support the visuals, even better. And then there's interactive content. This is where things get exciting. Letting learners explore, make choices, or test their understanding in real time. It's a bit more effort to create, but the payoff in engagement is huge. So, when you're choosing your format, ask yourself, what's the goal? Do learners need to know something, see something, do something, or try something? Match the format to the task, and you'll be golden.
Let's look at what a good learning experience actually looks like, especially when you're teaching a process. Think about any step-by-step task, assembling a device, filling out a form, or even preparing a recipe. The key to teaching a process is breaking it down, visually showing what's happening, and explaining it clearly as you go. So here's a good practice combo. Start with visual cues, arrows, highlights, numbers, something that draws attention to what's happening in each step. Then pair that with narration instead of written text. Just talk the learner through it. It feels more natural and keeps them focused on the action. And of course, break it down. Don't show all the steps at once. Guide the learner through one part at a time. It reduces overwhelm and builds understanding piece by piece. This approach works for so many topics, whether you're teaching how to use a tool, follow a procedure, or navigate software. The goal is to make the learner feel like someone is right there with them, showing the way. So next time you're explaining a process, ask yourself, how can I make this feel simple, clear, and step by step?
Alright, let's dive a little deeper into the toolbox. There are a lot of great digital tools out there, but it helps to organize them by category. That way, you know exactly where to look depending on what you need. First up, LMS, or Learning Management Systems. These platforms, like Moodle or Opinio, are where you build and deliver full courses. You can track learner progress, add quizzes, and organize your content into modules. Think of it as your virtual training center. Next, video editing tools. If you want to create your own explainer videos or screen recordings, tools like OpenShot or Shortcut are perfect. You can add voiceovers, trim clips, insert captions. It's easier than you think, and it adds a professional touch to your materials. Then we've got interactive modules. This is where H5P really shines. You can build drag and drop exercises, image hotspots, even branching scenarios. These are perfect for making your content hands-on and learner-driven. Graphics tools like Inkscape or Canva help you create visuals, diagrams, or icons that make your slides or resources clearer and more appealing. No graphic design degree required. And finally, interactive learning tools. These are more advanced platforms that combine video, quizzes, feedback, and decision-making paths. They're great when you want learners to explore, not just watch or read. The idea isn't to use everything, it's to choose the right tool for your goal. Start small, experiment, and build your confidence as you go.
Let's talk about what makes a design bad, and how just a few small tweaks can make it so much better. You've probably seen it before, a slide or a screen that's absolutely packed with text, images, bullet points, maybe even a chart or two. It's got everything, except clarity. That's a classic example of bad design. It overloads the learner. There's no clear path, no focus point, it's just too much to process at once. Now compare that with a cleaner version, simplified visuals, fewer words, and a clear voice guiding you through the content step by step. That's good design in action. The key difference: good design respects how the brain works. It doesn't try to show everything at once. It guides the learner's attention, uses white space wisely, and lets narration carry part of the message instead of cramming everything onto the screen. Less is more. Clarity is everything. So when you're creating your next learning material, ask yourself, am I designing for impact, or just for information overload? A little editing goes a long way.
Let's talk about making learning accessible. Not just for a few people, but for everyone. Good design isn't just about how things look or sound, it's also about how learners can use and adapt the experience to fit their needs. Start with something simple but powerful: subtitles. They're not just for people with hearing difficulties. Subtitles help learners follow along in noisy environments, support non-native speakers, and make content easier to review. Next, think about clear language. No jargon, no overly complex phrases. Just plain, straightforward words that everyone can understand. Clarity helps all learners, not just those who struggle with reading. Pace control is another underrated feature. Letting learners pause, rewind, or slow down the content means they're in control of their learning. Everyone processes information differently, so why force them to move at just one speed? And then there's branching. This means giving learners options, letting them choose their path based on what they know or what they're interested in. It's a great way to personalize learning and keep people more engaged. So, when you're creating your next module, ask yourself, can everyone access it? Can they control their experience? The more flexible and inclusive your content is, the more effective it becomes, for everyone.
Okay, so you've seen the tools, the principles, and some real examples. Now comes the fun part: building your first interactive module. Let's say you're teaching something like, how does an engine work? That's your starting point. But before you jump into design, take a step back and think, what do I want my learners to actually learn from this? That's where you define your learning objectives. Once you know your goals, you can choose the methodology that fits. Is it a step-by-step tutorial? A branching scenario? A visual breakdown with narration? Think about what will work best for your learners, and for the topic. Then comes the development phase. This is where you create the actual content: videos, activities, diagrams, quizzes, using the tools we've talked about, like H5P or OpenShot. But don't stop there. Before you launch anything, test it. Ask a colleague to try it out. Collect some feedback. What's working? What's confusing? Make those small adjustments now, and your learners will thank you later. Finally, it's time to bring it to the classroom, or the platform. Share it, guide your learners through it, and most importantly, observe how they engage with it. Creating interactive content doesn't have to be overwhelming. Just take it one step at a time, and enjoy the process.
Before we wrap up, let's go over 3 quick tips that can really make a difference when you're creating digital learning content. First, use the right tool. Not the fanciest tool, not the most complicated one. The right one for you, your learners, and your content. If you're teaching a simple process, a short video with voiceover might be enough. If you want interactivity, go with H5P. The best tool is the one that helps you meet your goals without creating a tech headache. Second, focus on learners. Always ask yourself, what do they need? What's the clearest way to show this? What format will make this stick? Keep their perspective in mind every step of the way. Because in the end, it's not about showing off your design skills, it's about helping someone learn something new. And third, keep it simple, but structured. Simple doesn't mean basic, it means intentional. Clear layout, clean visuals, no clutter, and a logical flow from point A to point B. Structure helps learners feel safe and focused. And honestly, it makes your life easier too. So take these 3 with you as you start building. Right tool, learner focus, simple structure. That's your recipe for success.
Alright, now it's your turn. You've seen the principles, explored the tools, and looked at real examples. So here's the challenge. Design your own short interactive module. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be long. Just pick a topic you know well, something simple, like a basic process, a concept you've taught before, or a common question learners ask. Start from there, then ask yourself, did I define clear learning objectives? Am I using the right format for what I want to teach? Have I kept things simple and structured? Is the design learner-friendly and distraction-free? Use the tips we talked about, pre-training, scaffolding, segmenting, signaling, and don't forget to test your content before going live. This is where it all comes together. When you take what you've learned and actually apply it, you'll start to see the impact right away. Your content will feel smoother, learners will stay more engaged, and you'll feel way more confident as a digital educator. So go ahead, give it a try. Build something small, test it out, and most of all, have fun with it.
Thank you for following. Stay tuned for the next module.